Greetings, everyone. Nathan Nerdarchy here from Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. With me, I'm hanging out with two nerds.
Nerdarchy's Dave.
Nerdarchy's Ted.
We're talking Dungeons and Downtime, the new Unearthed Arcana.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
And as always, in the description, you can find the link to that which we are speaking of.
Dungeons and Downtime.
Unearthed Arcana, Downtime. We get some revised rules on how to spend your time and your gold in between sessions, I guess.
Plenty of gold spending.
From time to time, the guys over at Wizards of the Coast will put out one of these Unearthed Arcana, and they'll be really crappy. This ain't one of them times. Let me tell you. This is one of the better ones, in my opinion. We do a lot of this stuff in our games kind of organically, but I think this is perfect for a GM and players that don't really know how to do this stuff and want to incorporate more of it, but they don't know where to start. Or if you just want to go, you know what, instead of doing a lot of role-playing stuff with it, we can just math it out real quick with some dice rolls and then narrate what happened. This is perfect. It's really good.
I like it. I think there's some things that they've actually gone ahead and tweaked away from what's in the rules.
In the DMG, yes.
You know, so I don't know. There's some things that I think is a thumbs up and a thumbs down on, like particularly learning skills and languages. Mm-hmm. It used to cost this was 250 gold spent over
250 days.
250 days. Now you can do it a little bit quicker, but it's going to cost you a lot more money.
I kind of like it as an option. Like, do you have time or money? It's kind of like the real world. Like, what do you got, time or money? And then you can kind of expend them from there. The introduction of foils is a lot of fun. The idea of having rivals that aren't actually like enemies, and this is really good to introduce to those players that are like they want to kill everything, so you can kind of slowly work these into your game and maybe you can train them away from that. Like, yeah, you can't just stick everything with a sword as a solution because, in civilized and polite society that this doesn't work.
It's like, this is the lawful good church that thinks you're a bad influence on people, and they're doing a misinformation campaign or they're creating roadblocks for you. What are you going to do? You're going to go attack the church?
Or the head of the church. He's actually a really nice guy. It's like the High Sparrow from Game of Thrones.
Yes. So the basic rundown is you've got the choose an activity where you select what you're going to do with your downtime. You've got the resolving activity, which is where you figure out the pluses and rolling your dice. And then there might be some complications in that activity, and then there might be some foils baked in with the
so we're just going to do an overview because it's pretty beefy. We get 12 pages, I believe.
14.
It takes a while to read. It's full of stuff.
It's definitely dense. So there's just the first 2-3 pages is just on foils alone, and that is really just like we said. That's adding somebody into your game that is an obstruction, an obstacle. They could be well-meaning. They could be a good person, or not necessarily. They give 2 examples of foils, and I love them both. One of them is a were-rat, from a noble family that was in the town before and left, and then he's come back.
Were-rat merchant.
Necromancer.
Alchemist.
Yeah.
He's a lot of things. He's got a lot of plans.
But, he's a fantastic villain. I'm like, wow. I'm not sure exactly who wrote this one, if it was Merles, Crawford, or Perkins, but great job.
Absolutely. The second example is literally a good church.
Yeah. He wants to run all the adventurers out of town, or have them taxed and tariffed extra because they have to pay their fair share.
And it's they can easily leave. If they create a problem that's too big for them to handle, they can just pack up and get out of here. So they really should be taxed.
Insurance.
They also introduced ideas for buying magic items, which that's never been something we've kind of liked in our games that much. But if you do miss that from previous editions, and you want it back, it does offer up some options. I'm a little leery because I know Scott's like, hey, can I use the downtime rules? And
I know what I'm going to do.
I don't know if he said specifically which rules he wanted to use or
not.
It's going to be.
Or if you carte blanche gave him a yes.
I said I haven't read it yet. We can talk about it.
Good move.
Well, it's not like push button get bacon. All right, so calm down.
Well,
you got to do a lot of stuff
in our world, there is no magic item merchant house. Like, you're not going to just be like, I want to go buy a magic item.
Well, it's
like,
the same. They treat it like that here too.
Yeah. Oh, and then you have other games where it's like magic item vending machines are everywhere. Just swipe and pull the lever.
Yeah, so there's complications you can put into it. There's things that happen because you're looking for a particular item and people get word of it. There's all kinds of stuff that can go into that, and you might waste time and money and not actually find. The item you want.
What is the cost? The cost just for finding an item.
Well, you're gonna roll a basically a check based on your persuasion, and you get bonuses for the amount of weeks you want to do it beyond the first week you want to look for it. And then you get bonuses for spending extra gold pieces to a certain amount of bonuses. And then you got to make the roll. And if it's decent, then you have a good amount of different items that you can look for, but they still cost. And they're not just like a standard.
It costs money to try, and you might still fail.
And there's always like a 10% chance with any of this stuff that there's a complication that arises.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool. And like that's one of the reasons why they said create these foils, because if the complications happen, there's asterisks next to a lot of the complications, and which means it's probably been generated by one of those foils.
And I kind of want to read the complications of this one and kind of give you an idea of what the rest of them are like. So there's a few complications. The item is fake, planted by an enemy. The item is stolen by the party's enemy. The item is cursed by a god. The item's original owner will kill to reclaim it. The party's enemy spreads news of its sale. The item is the center of a dark prophecy. The seller is murdered before the sale. The seller is a devil looking to make a bargain.
Hey, did anyone say looking for warlock levels?
Yeah, the item is the key to freeing an evil entity. We've got one of those. A third party bids on the item, doubling its price. The item is an enslaved intelligent entity. The item is tied to a cult. The party's enemies spread rumors that the item is an artifact of evil. And several of these have asterisks that might involve the foil, like hands in it.
1, 4, 6, 9, and 12.
Yeah, so you've got pretty much like a 50% chance on the complications table that you're going to be dealing with an NPC that does not either want you to have it or wants to have it for themselves.
Or they personally just don't like you.
Yeah, or they just don't like you and they're like, I want to screw with this guy's business. And so that's just the buying of magic, and pretty much for everything, there's a very similar. Well, I mean, similar in scope.
The format, yeah.
And going backward a little bit, since he's talking about the foils, there's a really good guide for creating foils, talking about how many foils should really exist. And even if you aren't interested in the actual downtime part of this whole thing, just reading the foils is going to be really good for creating a living, breathing world for your PCs to interact with, because there's going to be foils that are villains and there's foils that are going to be more on the side of law and good, and they're both, and all of them are going to be a problem for your players for one reason or another. It's a really, really good tool. I think
it also talks about too how the foil, while at one point in your career they could be foiled, but other times they could be allies. They could shift back and forth. You know, sometimes they can fade in and out, just depending. They just have different uses, and it's going to change like real life. So it's very interesting. I like it. We have expanded carousing, and we have carousing. We have carousing based on your level of your lifestyle level, basically how much cash, how much wealth you have, and literally like there's the upper echelon of carousing that you can't even get into unless you have the noble background or the DM gives you special permission.
That's awesome.
You need the VIP card.
Pretty much. And there's funny things like on there, like, hey, you wake up married, oops, or you're now you're engaged to a scion of a powerful house. There's several things like that, cool things like, hey, here's the one that I really like. For low class carousing, you have fuzzy memories of doing something very, very illegal, but can't remember exactly what.
Part of me really wants to use that in the game, because it's like, all right, you're married, you did something you really shouldn't have, but you don't remember what it was.
So they expand the crafting items rules. So this is for mundane items as well as magic items, I believe, that you can take a look at the rules. Or is this just magic items?
No, just regular.
Mundane items here, and then there's magic items.
Okay, yeah, so they do have both. Which for people, I know guys and gals out there and clamoring for more thorough rules for this stuff. The magic items crafting rules are so much better than what they present in the DMG. They're more thorough, and you could actually make them and sell them for profit now instead of at cost. What it cost you to make them. But making the legendary item, I think we figured it out. It takes like 5 years straight of working on it.
Yeah,
for
40-hour
one
work
person.
weeks, 2 weeks off a year.
And was that? And was it 100,000 to start it?
Yeah, that's
It's
the
up
cost
there.
of it,
Yeah.
And it requires some special ingredients.
And well, then that's the other thing. You're gonna have to quest to get some of this stuff done. So like that means it would really actually take even longer because you're gonna have to stop your constructing to go on these quests and it's cool things. Like third edition was so lame. It's like here's gold, here's XP, out comes the magic item. But this is more like AD&D where it's like, oh no, you need the tears of a devil giving willingly, and weird stuff like that to incorporate it. It does kind of go into, hey, if you're trying to make X, this is the CR monster for your ingredients, which is a little bit weird, but it's still far more interesting than third edition and fourth edition.
And I looked at it not just like hacking a monster apart. Like I figure at 19th CR for a legendary item, maybe you have to do something for a Solar.
Well, no, I mean they give examples that aren't necessarily like one of them actually literally is you need the help of an Arcana Loth, which is a powerful Yugoloth or whatever they're called, and killing him is not going to get him to help you. So
Yeah.
so clearly, and there's like, oh, you have to go on a task to do it. So right then and there, you're going to limbo, and then you got to go on an adventure to just get that guy to help you, and then it's whatever time it takes to do it.
You need to make like 3 more magic items to get you to where you need to go,
Yeah.
so you can make the one you really want.
Me and Nate were joking about needing the nail clippings of a Tarask, but first you have to make the clippers in order to
Right.
even get them.
So you need special giant magic shears.
So I really like the way they do it. They give good examples, and they're not all just kill the monster, cut it up. There's some really like interesting. Like one of the things is like you need the water from a whirlpool on the elemental plane of water. That's
Well,
gonna be
As long as you can travel the plains, it's not too terrible. But
what lives in that whirlpool. One of the things is like you need the essence of a water weird. What does it even mean? I love and I love that. Crime, they have a thing here like in downtime you can do crimes, which is awesome. It's like make 3 checks, fail them all, really bad stuff happens. And then from there things kind of change, like you fail one and you get away but you don't make any money. Fail 2 and or no, you fail 1 and you make some money but not as much as you should have. Fail 2 and you just get away. Nothing good or bad really happens.
fail 3.
Fail 3, really bad stuff. You're in jail, pay a lot of fines. Make them all, and you make the score. So that's kind of cool. I like it.
So I think that one's going to be far more useful in the low levels as you get higher, thus making it easier to succeed on those kind of things. I think the gold piece value that it gives you, I think it's not going to be as worthwhile.
Well, DC 25 to get 1,000 gold piece robbery. That's pretty good, but then
And having to make it 3 times.
yeah, making it 3 times.
When you get up there, you're like, there's just easier ways to make money.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's what I'm saying. As you get higher levels, it's like, this is not worth it.
Yeah. Like I could have literally just killed the watch. It would have been so much easier.
Assassinate.
Yeah. But I like the mechanics. It's fun. It's not just one check. It's like a mini skill check. It's tiered. You'd have to roll really poorly or be going after something really hard to do in order to have all the bad stuff happen.
Right. So
I'm
now
digging it.
you could exponentiate that or expand upon it and have it be like, okay, well, I'm going to go after this specific guy who has this specific thing and still work with some of those DCs or modify them a little bit, and you can get off with that thing, and it might be worth more than that. But I think going by just their values, I think that one is the least useful.
Here's the thing. First of all, it's playtest material. As playtest material, this stuff is awesome. Like they put
absolutely.
This is a good basis. If you're a GM and you just don't know what to do, you can look here and go, oh, and it gives you an idea. So I find it highly useful. And then like the current crime one has like it's going to have cool like adventure hooks built into the complications because you're stealing stuff, so things happen, things go wrong. Gambling's kind of similar. Pit fighting, they're all very similar. It's just like you different ways to kind of like earn money or have bad stuff happen,
Well,
or somewhere's in between.
the thing that I like about the pit fighter, it takes a specific character to actually walk away with that victory, because you need insight, acrobatics, and athletics. And if you're playing the pit fighter character, or if you're playing a character that's going to typically go there, one of those skills is usually not going to be
One
in
or
your
two.
skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly even two. And the DC to meet is weird because it's scalable. Or not scalable, but it's random because you don't know what kind of fight you're going to go up against. So it literally could be a 7 or it could be a 25. And you roll randomly for each one of those checks. And I'm like,
And
wow.
yeah, there's no saying which one it's going to match up to. You know.
So, like, all right, if you take the variant entertainer background and you're a gladiator and you take the class, a warrior class, and take athletics, all right, now you've got 2 out of the 3, but what's going to give you the insight? Like, that's the weird one.
That being said, though, like you only need one success to make money.
Yes.
You know, and then from that you're gonna have. There's also, and again, you could be uber successful. 3 successes on any of these. There's still a 10% you get a complication, which means more role playing, more adventuring down the road.
Yes.
More fun stuff. So
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking at both sides of it.
Yeah.
So.
And then there's relaxation.
Which can still have a complication.
They said if you want to make life interesting for the player.
Yeah, now they don't go into that one. There's just like a little blurb like, yeah, you want to, if you're a real dick, you can do the complication here too.
So it's like, all right, you're trying to get, you're trying to relax.
Oh my
God, this happens and that happens, and you have that typical like show where somebody is just looking for a day off, and it's been done across numerous TV shows.
D&D, the spa day gone wrong.
It's been done across numerous shows where it's someone's day off, and everything goes to hell in a handbasket because everybody needs help, and this other thing, and this other.
And
thing.
now you can do it right in your D&D game.
Yeah.
With rules.
Yeah, it's also like a super classic.
So then
trope.
there's a couple that I'm going to lump them together because they kind of work the same, and that is religious service and research. I think just those 2 pretty much, but
Well, there's training as well.
Well, no,
they don't work the same way.
Oh, okay.
And these are basically, you can get favors or pieces of information. Now, depending on how well your check is, and depending on the attribute that goes with that, how high it is. So, like, it's possible to actually do so well, you can't even reap the whole benefits. But it's still interesting. It's cool. And you know what? These are things that get done in the game all the time. And if you don't want to spend a lot of time doing it and having complex things going on,
You can use these rules.
yeah. Megan, in my game all the time, I want to volunteer at the church. Volunteers at the church, right? So like now there's rules for that if I wanted to use them. There's characters that always look to research certain things. Now we have rules for that, and we can use it, and we can explain with these rules why the gobblers shouldn't do the research, because they can't get the full benefit because intelligence is their dumb stat.
Then we get into training, which is the one that I said is definitively different. And, here it's like, all right, I'm going to spend money per week of training, and it's literally 100 gold per week. So not designed for your low-level adventurers. But you can get languages, and you can get tool proficiencies. So it's definitely a way to actually have that happen in your game.
You know why I like it? I like it because it gives you another option than the one just in the PHB or DMG, whichever book it happens to be in. And you as the player and the DM can kind of work together to figure out what's going to work for your game. The last one is work. Actually, this one would have been really useful for me early on a lot of times, because I would do this a lot of times. This was my downtime activity. Was I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go work for the smith. We're boys, and then I could have rolled the complications, and fun times could have ensued.
Complication. A difficult customer or fight with a coworker reduces the lifestyle you earn by 1 category.
Bastards.
A coworker with ties to an important family in town takes a dislike to you. So, I love...
There's only one worker where I'm at. I think I was it.
Oh, wow. Well, it's the boss and you.
And an important thing to note about this work thing is At best, you can get comfortable lifestyle for the week plus a little extra spending money.
Yeah.
You can't get rich off that.
You cannot. Wait a minute. Yeah, but you could trade. I guess you could trade in the extra money from your daily living expenses. Live poor, because I always lived at the barracks, and add that to this. That's how I
And
would
train.
roll.
You can
And train
spend
if
for
you want
training.
to. Wow, ninja. So I don't know, guys. What do you think? This was highly entertaining. It was
Yes.
a great read. It's something you put right into your game. Use it. It's great guidelines. It's good training for newer DMs on like, hey, how would you like to do some of this stuff? Because in Ted's last session, a lot of this stuff really just kind of came up. Like foils were all over the place, and there wasn't a whole lot of like combat, fleshed out dice rolling to resolve stuff. It was mostly like maybe a die roll or two, very similar to what was done in here. But if you're an inexperienced GM, this is a wealth of knowledge and great training for you.
It's gold.
Yeah. Jump down in the comments below. You can like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you think.
You can check us out over on Facebook.
Patronize us in a good way over on Patreon.
So until next time, stay nerdy.